On behalf of the Human Relations Commission for the City of Morganton, we would like to welcome you to this, our 2012 Citizens of the Year Award. And to bring us greetings from the city, we will ask Councilman John Cantrell to come forward, please.
On behalf of Mayor Coyne and the rest of the council, we're very happy that each one of you have come out tonight for a very important night and to pray or to pay appropriate honor to some very special people. Again, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. We will now have our invocation by Reverend David Lawrence.
Hey everybody, I'm David. I'm pastor at Oak Hill United Methodist, and I have the wonderful privilege of being Ken Clark's pastor. And I'm just happy to be here tonight as he's honored, and also hope to see Taylor and Garrett tonight too. Thank you for being here. And let's bow our heads in prayer. Father God, we give you thanks for this beautiful day that you've created. And we give you thanks for all your blessings in life. And we give you thanks, Father, for putting need out in the world. And we know when you talked about the prodigal son, and when you talked about the Good Samaritan, you signaled that those are people that we should look after and watch after. And I just give you thanks for the three who are honored here tonight, for their servant heart, for just putting that heart of a servant within them, that when they see a need, they say yes, and they even get to know the names of the poor. And I give you thanks for that, Father. I ask that you would continue to bless them in their ministry. And Father, lift us all up. Help us to say yes when we see that need that you've put out there before us. Help us to step forward as just good people who are trying to do the right thing and live in righteousness. Bless our food tonight, Father. We give you thanks in Christ's name. Amen.
As we move to the reason that we're here because we are honoring some of our citizens who have gone above and beyond the duty as they provide services in many different ways to our community. And we would like to, first of all, thank those individuals who recommended them to the Human Relations Commission. And as a part of that, we would like to ask you, as I call their name, to come and introduce them to the ones that are here as you talk about why you felt that that person was worthy of the nomination. And so we would like to ask that Mr. Tom Hall, who recommended our adult citizen, please come and speak on his behalf.
Good evening. I feel very honored to be able to speak about my friend Ken Clark tonight. I'm going to read this. He's a big man. He's done a lot of things. And I feel like I just can't follow through without and get everything without just reading it. So bear with me as I do that. It's been said of Ken Clark that volunteering to help others is just in his blood. According to Ken's father, Harold, it was evident from the early age. Ken had a kind, caring heart. He was always thinking of ways to make his mother feel special, and was willing to help out with family chores without being forced. He developed a concern for others at a young age and was always helping friends and neighbors who were in need. Why was he this way? He had excellent examples. He grew up in a home where a sense of service to the community was instilled in him by his civic-minded parents, Harold and Gail Clark. Today, he seldom, if ever, declines a chance to help his community. At a very young age, he became interested in sports and played basketball and football all during his school years. He was active in scouting and many other character-building activities. After earning a degree in finance and insurance from Appalachian State University, Ken went to work as an actuary for Key Risk Insurance. After several years of working with figures, he was not finding this work fulfilling in his need to help others. At that time, his father and brother Tim, he and his father and brother Tim came up with an idea for a home care agency dedicated to providing service to people who wish to remain in their homes during times of declining health. They presented the idea to the county commissioners, and Catawba Valley Medical Services and medical staffing and supplies business was started. Ken has been co-owner with his father and brother for 12 years. We learned of Ken's involvement in his church, Oak Hill United Methodist, from a fellow member, Ann Aldridge, letter of support. He serves as Sunday school superintendent, teaches Sunday school, serves on the finance committee, and works hard to ensure that appropriate opportunities are available to membership and newcomers alike. Other examples of Ken's dedicated yet hectic life is each Wednesday he and Brother Tim leave work, go to Oak Hill School, and work with children in a special program. Ken leaves the school, goes and picks up the men from the meeting place, and brings them back to the church for a fellowship meal. It seems Ken is everywhere doing what is needed. In fact, I go to Oak Hill sometimes, and guess what? When I go there for a fundraiser, there's Ken in the kitchen. I met Ken about 3 years ago when asked by my pastor, Dr. Tom Bland, if I would be interested in serving on the meeting place board, since my wife and I had been active in working with such programs for the homeless in Buncombe County, where we had lived for many years before moving to Morganton. I accepted, and at the first meeting I attended, I met this remarkable man. In addition to directing the board and volunteers, Ken was very involved helping residents of this halfway house for men who needed shelter, food, and guidance to get back into society. In the meantime, my wife kept asking what services were available for homeless women and children in Burke County. And I had learned that a continuum of care partnership had just been formed to look into that. She volunteered to help in any way possible, went to our first meeting, and who was the chair? Ken Clark. In working with Ken and others for the past 2 years, it has been amazing to both of us to watch Ken's tireless efforts on behalf of the homeless. In 10 months, the new Faces, a woman and children's shelter, a duplex on Union Street, was opened. In 10 more months, another house for homeless women known simply as the White Street House was opened. Ken Clark was the leading force behind this. Ken has volunteered for organizations such as the United Way, served on the board, and was their fundraising chairman in 2009. He has worked with Mission Morganton, Habitat for Humanity, the Guiding Coalition Committee for Poverty Programs, Project Halo, Lockout, and many other programs that help the needy in Burke County. Waits Gordon, who helped nominate Ken for this award, said it best. Ken has the ability and knowledge to bring together all those needed to complete charitable work. He is well respected and reviewed by the community with integrity. He is a real leader. Ken is first and foremost a loving husband and father to wife Bridget and children Caroline and Christopher. He has said many times that without the help and support of his wonderful wife Bridget, he could not do what he does. He also gives much credit to his parents, his brother Tim, and the employees who have given him a loving nickname, Chairbreaker. Around the office, when Ken does have a minute to sit down, it seems the chairs break, many of them. And of course, with so much going on, when they give him something to look at, it gets buried under mounds of stuff on his desk. So they teased him, saying, "There's not a chair he can't break, nor a mess he can't make." In summary, Kim Clark is one of the hardest working men I've ever known. He puts his heart and soul into whatever he undertakes. I could go on and on about him, but I think in nominating Ken for the honor, Jackie Ward said it best, and I quote, "He's a good Samaritan, an unselfish man of God who encourages the positive and finds ways to help others feel better about themselves. Ken demonstrates his love for others by his action and not only talks the talk, but walks the walk." Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, our 2012 Citizen of the Year, Ken Clark.
Thank you. Ken's got an outline. That means we're here for 45 minutes at least. Tom is a man of many talents, most of which I'm very envious of. One of his talents is construction. So after an introduction like that, he's going to have to figure out a way to get my head through the door when we're done here. I've got 10 minutes, they tell me, to get about 45 minutes in, so I'm going to be a little bit choppy. I've got a lot of things that I would like to say. First of which, Tom hit upon, is I can't do anything without my wife, Bridget. I really believe that once you are married, you are as one. So if I'm going to share in this honor, or have this honor, my wife also has it. So I'm going to ask her to come up and stand with me as I talk. I'm going to put her to work afterwards. Many a time I'm late at night in a meeting. She's got to do violin practice, homework, getting baths. That's about enough to drive you crazy. The meeting's easy compared to all of that stuff. So, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who took their time to write in on my behalf. It's very nice of you. Diane read me some passages from the letters, and it made my head swell at that time. But it's very nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you for the committee. I am sure that there were other wonderful nominees, so thank you for your consideration, and thanks to everyone here tonight for your support. I've got a lot of my family and a lot of my church family and a lot of friends here, so that really means a bunch to me. I'm going to talk a little bit more about all my blessings here in a minute. And I want to say congratulations to Taylor and Garrett. I am very impressed by what you guys have done. When I was your age, I was 100% knucklehead. That's what my dad used to say. I didn't care about anything other than sports and being with my friends and just hanging out. So it's impressive to me that people at a young age get into community service and develop their community leadership. So I can say with the rest of us here that we look forward to your endeavors with much anticipation moving forward. I am a very blessed person. I have a support system like no other. I have 3 families that I'm a part of, and they all are together. They all support me in whatever I do. Even if I did bad things, they'd be there for me. Hopefully we won't get to that, but they're always there. When we took over and started the meeting place, we were just barely making it. Whenever you start a non-for-profit, you just hang on, fake it till you make it type of thing. And lo and behold, first week, here comes a check from my mother and father. Next month, here comes a check from my mother and father. Next month, here comes a check. So 8 years later, I'm still getting a check once a month from mom and dad to keep the place open. So they're a big part of it as well. I also think that it's best said in Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is expected. Now, I've heard a lot of people's interpretation of that. Well, I don't have a lot, so I don't do a lot. You know, that's not me saying, that's just what I've heard. But to me, if you wake up and you draw a breath, you've been given a lot. Just to have the knowledge that Jesus went to the cross for you, you have a lot. So we should take our time to help those who do not have as much as we do. It's very important. Excuse me. If you've seen me speak before about the meeting place, one of the things that I say, and I say it often, is that whenever you do something for somebody else, it's always more for you than it is for that person that you've done it for, and I truly believe that. And I'll give you some examples. People kind of look at me funny when I say that. Well, you're helping that person have a place to live. But you're establishing a relationship with that person. And when you see them start growing and start getting better and happy in life, and you see the light come on, hey, I can make it. I can get back to permanent housing. You know what that does for you internally? It gives you confidence. It makes you motivated. It just gets you going, and you want it every day for everybody that you meet. And that's something that's God-given, in my opinion. Another thing that is a big blessing when you do this is you get to be around like-minded people. And there are a lot of people in this room who deserve to be standing here in front of me, in my opinion. But you get to know the Waits Gordons, the Dave and Jackie Wards, the Tom Halls and Audrey Halls. You get to know them, and they become part of your family. And I'm proud that they're part of my family because I get to learn from them each and every day, and I get to grow and be more wise about things because I'm learning from them. And that is one of the biggest things that I see as a blessing. But again, when you start wanting it, it changes you. And as you move forward, you get better and better and better. And I hope that everybody will take that time to think about that, about helping other people and seeing them grow and seeing how you grow as well. It's really a dance. Okay, I'm trying to stick and keep my outline quick so I don't run over my 10 minutes. I do want to recognize the Meeting Place Board. This is a group of people that spend a lot of time helping folks. And Tom is on the board, but there's others. Susie Fitzgerald, which many of you know, has been battling cancer and surgery. And she still has time every day to tell me what I need to do. And I go, yes, ma'am, and I go ahead and do it. Anita Jensen, Tom Hall, Lori Dansky, Rob Eastwood, Tim Turner, Iris Toner, and Jared Bailey, they all deserve to be standing here beside me or with me and probably in front of me because they have servants' hearts as well, and they do a great job. They do a great job. I do want to mention Joe Marks. Many of you have probably seen him speak. He is the executive director of the Meeting Place, and I cannot tell you how hard this man works to help people move forward in their lives. He goes to work at probably 7 o'clock every day, leaves about 7 o'clock every night, making sure people are doing what they're supposed to be, growing. And 12 o'clock at night, his phone rings. Somebody needs shelter. 2 o'clock at night, his phone rings. Somebody needs shelter. And Joe never fails to help somebody. Even if we don't have room at the end, so to speak, he'll make phone calls to every other homeless shelter in western North Carolina to find one a place. So if you know Joe or see him, please give him a pat on the back and say that you're doing a great job. If you don't know him, I will challenge you to go stop by the Meeting Place and get to know some of the men, some of the ladies in our homeless shelter, or even our family shelter, which is what Faces is. I guess my big point here tonight is just to, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, preaching to the choir, so to speak, because I see a lot of servants in here. If you do not have a personal ministry, I implore you to seek thee out. Try to find one that you're passionate about. Try to find one that's going to motivate you every day so you can start that relationship and start growing and getting better and better and better with the people that you help. As I close, I want to just ask my wife to read a prayer. This is the prayer of St. Francis Assisi, which means a lot to me. So I would just ask everybody to please close your eyes and listen to the words. And I just want to say thank you to everybody.
And he's not messy at home, by the way, so he saves it all for the office. So he's great in the house. And actually, he cooks too, so he's got lots of good qualities. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, let me sow forgiveness. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is despair, let me sow hope. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. Where there is sadness, let me sow joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you usually give the award before they speak, but he just pushed me on out the way, so I know he's got lots of authority in doing whatever he does, and that's why he does it so well. On behalf of the Human Relations Commission and the City of Morganton, we would like to present this Adult 2012 Citizen of the Year Award to Kenneth Clark. We thank you for all that you do. We appreciate what you do, and we ask that God continue to bless you as you go about taking care of his children.
Appreciate it.
Our next recipient is our High School Citizen of the Year, Taylor Sharp, and we would ask that John Zimmerman come to introduce Taylor.
My students usually say I talk really fast, and I say it's because I have a lot to say, so I'm going to talk really fast tonight too. Each year I'm invited to give numerous talks at state and national conferences to my peers in the disciplines and studies of English and education. I usually write those 75-minute to 6-hour talks in terminals and on planes while I'm waiting to get where I'm going. But on this brief talk, I have labored and labored. The content of Taylor Sharp is so rich and so defies words that I am no closer tonight than I was a month ago in accurately articulating my feelings about this incredible person. But here goes. Taylor has a long list of accolades, some of which I'll enumerate, but I'd rather use my time to introduce you to the person behind the resume, the soul that inspires all that he has done and continues to do. In considering Taylor on the one hand, and the fruit of the Spirit about which Paul writes in his epistle to the church of Galatia on the other, I'd like to introduce Taylor by identifying the three fruits that I've come to see most often manifest in this unique person. The fruit that I think most individuals would most identify most readily in Taylor is what the translators of the New Testament have called joy, but not the secular way that the world thinks about joy. The Greek word that Paul uses is chara. It gives us our English word character and is the derivative of a more familiar Greek word charis, which is Greek for grace. It gives us the word charisma. We don't often associate those three English words together, joy, charisma, and grace, but we should. True charisma is the outward manifestation of a joyful heart and soul that lives life aware of grace and to which others are drawn as a moth to a flame. Taylor's manifestation of this important expression of joy brings others together in ways that I've not seen before. Because of him, hundreds of students started caravanning to Patton High School sporting events last year. Because of him, hundreds of students and teachers piled into the school's parking lots for bonfires and tailgating parties. As the president of the Student Government Association and the National Honor Society, Taylor initiated new standards for conduct, and because of his leadership, guided by what I've identified as his spirit-driven charisma, his spiritual demonstration of joy, Taylor's peers bought in. Just this past weekend, because of this spiritual form of joy made so evident in Taylor, we were able to host Casting for Hope, a charity fly fishing tournament, and raise over $5,370 for the Hope Chest, where Taylor's mother was treated for ovarian cancer before passing away in December of 2010. Indeed, other people want to be a part of what Taylor is doing in the world because of the joy made so visible in his life. If you get to know Taylor a little better, you'll find a deep source of love. In the famous love chapter to the church at Corinth, Paul identifies love as the most important virtue for us to express, and Taylor loves abundantly. Paul uses the Greek word agape, that self-giving, self-forgetting love that gives amply to others without expecting anything in return. My grandmother is the only person I know who rivals Taylor's genuine agape love for other people. Too many times to count or even begin to list. It happens on a daily basis. I've watched Taylor involve the uninvolved, reach out to the downtrodden, and lift up those who are hurting. He does this because he loves other people and wants to make their lives better. But if you really get to know Taylor as I have, you'll come to understand that Taylor's strongest fruit is peace. In the passage, Paul uses the Greek word eirene, which derives from the Greek eros, which basically means bound up or made complete, or even better, I think, whole. The form of peace that Paul is writing about is the virtue of being made whole, made complete, being bound up so that when life throws obstacles, big or small, our way, we are poised to confront them with our full being. Being bound up and made whole and complete keeps us from flying apart at the seams when life would otherwise produce stress and anxiety. This is not one of my virtues. So perhaps that's why I find it so important in Taylor. I remember being at an all-time personal low in early January of 2011. My grandmother had just been diagnosed with what was then termed a terminal cancer. I wasn't handling it well at all. Noticing my need, Taylor came by my classroom on his way to lunch the day he found out the source of my pain and said, "Hey, let's go fish after school today." That afternoon, Taylor lent me his peace and his wholeness long enough for me to find my own again. Just recently, I was reminded of that great peace that resides and defines Taylor's core. I was in a horrible car accident last Wednesday night after a young driver unfamiliar with our town plowed through a stop sign at exceedingly high speed. I couldn't get either of my parents or my brother on the phone, and I wasn't going to call my grandmother because that just would not have worked out well. I called Taylor with the failing 2% charge left on my phone because I knew if anyone would come through, it would be he. I just dropped him off from walking seemingly endless miles of river marking beats on the fringes of Mitchell County in advance of this tournament that I just spoke about. I was on the verge of tears. I couldn't get in touch with any of my family, and my world had just been quite literally turned upside down. But when Taylor showed up, a strong sense of peace took over. That night, as he was cleaning out my destroyed car into his, keeping me laughing all the way, I again leaned on his wholeness, his completeness, so that I could gather up my own again and attempt to bind it back together. After hauling all the leftover beat markers, measuring boards, 4 fly rods, accompanying reels, sets of waders and boots, my guide packs, multiple sets of extra clothes, raincoats, tennis rackets, enough drained Mountain Dew bottles, and Bojangles bags to fill an entire trash can, and 5 or 6 pairs of Chacos and more tennis shoes, Taylor offered me some sage wisdom. John, what life lesson have we learned tonight? I looked at him a little unsure of what he was after, and he answered his question before I could with, "You need to stop carrying so much crap in your car." I first met Taylor 3 years ago when he entered my sophomore humanities English class at Patton High School. And from the first moment Taylor strolled into room 501, I couldn't help but think to myself, he's going to be special, and so he is. I just didn't know how special he would turn out to be. He's so much more than Morganton's first Moorhead Cane Scholar in 4 years, or president of the SGA and National Honor Society and expert fly fisherman. Those exterior traits, I believe, are the results of strong spiritual fruit. I have the fortunate opportunity to teach Patton High School's strongest academic students, and I've taught Taylor for 6 straight semesters. Every teacher has that one student in whom he knows he can place his hope for a better world. That one student in whom he can place his firm belief that the world is being left to better hands than it now rests. That one student who is light in our very dark days. That one student becomes the barometer by whom we either consciously or unconsciously judge others, hoping against all other evidence that there are many more like them to brighten the world. Unfortunately, they are rare. But if Taylor has proven anything to me over the years that we have learned and fished and laughed together, he has taught me that one person can make a difference. Taylor has been that difference to me, his peers, his other teachers, his school, and this community. I'm quite certain that I'll go the rest of my career measuring other students against the high water mark Taylor Sharp has left in room 501 and on my own heart. but I'll also enjoy watching from afar as he continues to make the world a better place. And when he can, I hope he'll make some time every now and then to take his old English teacher and fishing buddy and guide partner back to some of those secret streams we so often fished together in his youth to rekindle some old memories and tell him about all the great things he's doing in the world. It's certainly my great pleasure to introduce one of the finest people I've ever known, Taylor Sharp.
Well, before I begin, I'd like to give a big thanks to John for that incredible introduction and also for nominating me for this award. And I'd like to extend my utmost thanks to some other people, all of my current and former teachers. Every single one of my elementary school teachers I had is over at that table. To my close family friends that were such great role models growing up. To my absolutely amazing family, because I'm pretty sure I have the best in the world. And to God, without whom none of my achievements would have been possible, and also to the Morganton Human Relations Commission for recognizing me tonight. I'm very humbled and cannot have been here without you all. So at school this morning, when asked by John what I was going to speak about tonight, I told him I didn't quite know yet. I've never been one to over-prepare for a speaking role, generally only speaking from what I've stored up here. Other than thanking who has been so important in my life, I couldn't exactly come up with anything else about myself that I wanted to talk about. I could tell you what I've done, exactly what I plan to do in the future, but that's not the route I wanted to head down. So rather than telling you those things, I decided I'd let you in on the driving force behind most of my actions. The best example that I have found to explain this driving force is in the mindset of Dr. Paul Farmer. For those of you not familiar with Paul Farmer, he's a renowned infectious disease specialist and anthropologist who is the main character in the nonfiction biographical book titled Mountains Beyond Mountains. Farmer travels the world to third world countries, establishing medical clinics, immersing himself with the people, and he truly changes lives. But that's not what drives me. Of course, that's really, really great and all, but it's his mindset that intrigues me and inspires me. Because no matter how many places he travels, how much of his money he invests in helping these people halfway across the world, or how much of his life he donates to helping others, he never stops. He never has a limit of how much good in the world he wants to do. He never is content with how much he is doing, even though it is so great. His mindset is that no matter how much of a positive impact you are making on your loved ones, your community, or the world, you can always do more. So in our extremely hectic lives, it's easy to become content with the good we are doing with our lives. Donating money to a charity here, working at a soup kitchen there, giving our spare change to a homeless man at the Walmart intersection, and we feel pretty good about ourselves. And we should. But what we should never do is to ever think that we have done enough, because there's no such thing as enough good that we are creating in the world. You can always do more, and that is what inspired and led me. That is the driving force for I always want to do more, and I hope that if I ever rub off on anyone in my lifetime, it's that the other people will want to keep doing more. So thanks again and God bless, and I challenge you to take them on this mindset. I promise that the world can be a better place if we all try to do so.
And on behalf of the City of Morganton Human Relations Committee, the high school student 2012 Citizen of the Year, Taylor Sharp, and we certainly are proud of you. You're an awesome young man, and we know that with God's help, you will go far, and we know that you will mend a lot of bridges in the lives of others as you do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our middle school Citizen of the Year is Garrett Halford, and they will be introduced by Patty Barrier.
Speech. I'm just going to say a few things about Garrett from my heart. I've known Garrett since he was a little boy. He went to Glen Alpin Elementary School, which is dear to Miss Clark's heart, where she spent many years. And I've just seen many examples of Garrett growing up to be a fine young man. It started out with him being in many of our activities at school. And the best thing was when teachers who were very stressed about getting everything done that had little children running around, he would be the big brother. and he would take care of them. He was so kind to them. He would just play along with them, take them outside, and do whatever was necessary. Then he went to middle school. We all missed him. And his mom and I are pretty good friends, and she and I were talking one day, and she was telling me about a time that Garrett was in a class, and no one would choose to pair up with one of the kids that had a learning problem. Well, that's my heart. I've taught special ed for 30 years. So she was telling me that even though he knew that he would not get the best grade, he was willing to pair up with this kid to help him out because no one else in the class would help him. And I thought, wow, that's pretty neat because not many kids in middle school would do that. So another situation his mom was telling me about, and we talked about it, was that he had been involved a little bit and heard in the background about some bullying going on at his school. And he didn't know really how to take care of it. He discussed it with his parents. They advised him and left it up to him as to what he wanted to do. And he chose to go to his principal. They worked out the situation, and everything became better. I just think it takes quite a young man in the 6th grade to stand up for other children. We don't see that very often today, especially children that are in need of someone just to be kind to them, to make them understand that, yeah, even though you don't have quite the same abilities, people are going to help you. People are going to be your friend, and that's Garrett. He has a fabulous family. His mom and dad are great Christian people. Garrett has been raised the right way. He's got an awesome sister and grandparents. And I just think he has set such a marvelous model as a middle school student. And I was telling Amy, when she was telling me about all this, I said, you know, I wonder if they still do that middle school award, Citizen of the Year award. Because in 2003, my own daughter won that. And it was like 2 weeks after that, there was an email that came out that said, if you know anyone that you would like to nominate, nominate them. Well, I jumped right on it. And so I wrote my little spiel about him. And another friend of mine, Michelle McCurry, who Garrett spends a lot of time watching her little 5-year-old, she said, I would love to write some good things about him. So together we nominated him, and thank goodness for the Relations Committee. They decided that he was very fittable for this award. And so, without further ado, I present you Garrett Halford. I have to tell you, Garrett is somewhat a little shy. So don't make him give a big speech. He might just say thank you, and we'll let you go with that, okay?
I would just like to say thank you to my family and my teachers who have came here to support me. And I would also like to say thank you to the people who have nominated me and to the people who have given me this award. Thank you.
And I must say that we are very proud of you to see a young man who is already learning how to navigate the system to help others, to work out situations, and to problem solve in the most acceptable manner possible. And we know that for all of these individuals who's been recommended, that there had to be some training somewhere in their lives that have brought them to this moment. And we would like to, the City of Morganton Human Relations Commission, middle school student, 2012 Citizen of the Year, Garrett Halford. Congratulations, young man. And here's yours. And again, we would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you to those individuals who saw it not robbery to take the time to recommend these individuals for the Citizen of the Year. And we would also like to say that on behalf of the Human Relations Commission, this is something that we do annually. So around February of 2013, make contact with the City of Morganton, the Human Resource Office, And I'm sure that there'll be some applications there. And I'm sure that you know of someone who you are very proud of that you would like to recommend. And so again, we thank you all for recommending. We thank you who received those awards for the service that you give. And we are certainly proud that you are a part of our community. We would like to thank all of you who saw it not robbery to come this evening. We would like to extend some special thanks to some members. I would like to ask the Human Relations Commission members if you would stand. And we thank you for your commitment and your continued work as we try to make Burke County a place that we can all be proud of. Thank you very much. And then, sort of on a sad note, we would like to ask that Diane Thomas Tait stand. And Diane has been a part of this commission ever since its inception. And she will be coming off the commission to be a proud grandmother about 5 times, kidding, and to do some other things. But we want you to know that we certainly appreciate all that you have given to this commission, all that you continue to give to the community, and we know that you're only a telephone call away. So we thank you, thank you, thank you. And we would like to thank Councilman Cantrell for coming and participating on our program. Thank you so very much. And we would also like to say that we appreciate the support that the mayor and the city council and the city staff give to the commission. Well, let me see. There is a lady who works with us as a part of the city staff, and she kind of keeps the minutes, and she tries to keep us straight, and she'll do this and that for us. And I'd like to ask Diane Stewart to please stand. Diane is at the meeting. She takes the minutes. She conveys messages and memos and things to the city staff and the council. She and Cecilia Surratt are responsible for the decorations on the table tonight, and we thank you both for that. But above that, she had me a little sheet so I could know what I was supposed to say. She made arrangements and made sure that we had the food, and she and Cheryl Dillinger made sure that we had the plaques available. And as we told the mayor the other day, Diane Stewart is an awesome woman, and we're certainly glad to have her as a part of our commission support staff. And so, Diane, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we would also like to recognize Cheryl Dillinger, who is the Director of Human Resources, and Captain Trent Devaney, who are also city staff that are a part of the commission, and we certainly thank you. And we know that we have members of public safety here, and we have the chief here, and so we would ask that Chief Talbot and his staff please stand. And I would like to express a thank you to all the program participants, and Willette, you know, well, she's gone. But we can always depend on Willette to render us music. And I hope with that I have recognized everyone. And again, we thank you for coming this evening, and we hope that next year you will get an application and that you will recommend someone as well. Because sometimes we think that the small things that people do have no meaning, but when we can impact on one life, then we've made a difference. Thank you all. God bless you, and have a good evening.